chord melody arrangement from a jazz lead sheet is easier than you think. You just need to determine what each melody note is in relation to the root of the chord that harmonizes that melody note, and then find a voicing of that chord, a chord shape of that chord with the melody note as the top note. And at the most basic level, that is it. That's what we're looking for. Easier said than done. You do need some fundamental skills, how to find certain notes on the fretboard, that kind of thing. But it's nice to simplify the goal and say, okay, that's all we're trying to do here. Right now, I have a bunch of new students that just joined my course called Chord Melody Magic, and I just recently posted a video on YouTube on the tune What Is This Thing Called Love as part of my Top 25 Jazz Standards series. And some tunes just lend themselves so beautifully, so perfectly for chord melodies, and this tune is one of those. So I want to walk you through creating a chord melody arrangement from the lead sheet of What Is This Thing Called Love using the chord melody arrangement process that I teach inside of my course called Chord Melody Magic. And stick around to the end of this video, because after showing you that process, I'll give you some really valuable tips for how to actually physically execute a chord melody much more smoothly once you have arranged it. Playing all the chord shapes, jumping around between chord shapes, it's really quite hard. So there's a trick that makes it a million times easier, and it actually makes it sound better too. If you're new here, I'm Jared Borkowski from SoundGuitarLessons.com, where I teach musicianship skills on the guitar so we can express ourselves more freely. Welcome, please subscribe and follow. I have new lesson videos every week. Let's jump into the lesson. This tune is just so perfect for a chord melody arrangement. Here is the lead sheet of What Is This Thing Called Love. This is the first two A sections. Okay, it looks like a lead sheet. We got our chord symbols, we have our notation. How are we going to make a chord melody arrangement out of this? Well, the first step is to determine the root of the chord. Step one in my processes are always so obvious sometimes, but I like to really go, what is step one? Okay, determine the root of the chord. Well, that's easy. It's whatever the letter name is of the chord. The root of G half diminished is G. The root of C 7 flat 9 is C. The root of F minor 6 is F. Okay, easy enough. We found the root of the chord. Step two is determine the letter name of the melody note. That's the note name that we are wanting to harmonize. Well, even if you've never done this before, you're looking at a lead sheet, you've never read music or know any of this, getting into this is really straightforward with this simple process that's been used to teach kids the beginnings of sheet music reading forever. The spaces in a treble clef staff spell face on the way up. So the bottom space is F, F, A, C, E. Those are your notes. And then alphabetically, you can just find anything in between. So, okay, well, we're looking for this. What's the letter that's right after B? So that would be this line. Right after A, it's B. It's this line right here. And it has a flat symbol, so it's B flat. So straightforward. What is the letter that is after F in the alphabet? It's G. This is G right there. After G, it goes back to A, but other than that, it is 100% alphabetical, and then you're looking for sharps or flats or not, and that's how you can find any of those note names. So great. So we found the note name that we needed. Step three is determine the chord tone number of the melody note. This is the crucial step, the more difficult step, because we need to know this to find the shape that we want. So determine the chord tone number of the melody note. So I have all kinds of resources. Like I said, this is from the process that I teach inside my course called Chord Melody Magic, but there are numerous ways to do this, and a lot of ways you can do it even just on the guitar or looking up your own stuff. And I'll recommend some other ways to work on this for you after we go through this process. But of course, since I have all these visual resources, I want to show you kind of how I've worked it out to help people do this. So this is an interval numbers chart. And what we would want to do is find the root of the chord on this chart. Okay, so G is the root, so we're going to hone in on that one. Let's zoom in on it here. So what this shows is the number relationships of all these fret spots, all these notes, in relation to G. Okay, so G is the root right there. You can also think of G as this open string right here. Well, okay, this is starting to make sense. If that's 1, then this is 2. Okay, that's flat 2, 2. Here's 3, here's flat 3. You can already see where we're going with this. We're getting all the information we need. Even if you've never, ever done this before, I have no idea how to do it. Now all you need to do is know what the note number relationships are from any note on the fretboard. If you go to the website guitarscientist.com, it's how I make a lot of my fretboard graphics for a lot of the lessons. Popular site, a lot of teachers use them on YouTube. You've seen it a million times. If you go there, you can put in a root and say, this root, this note here, you could say G's right here. I'm going to call this 1. If you call this 1, show what all the numbers are of the rest of the fretboard. So you can do that yourself, or the other way is to know the scale structure and say, okay, I know G is 1. And then if you know the major scale structure, then I know that 2 is a whole step up, 3 is a whole step up, 4 is a half step from that. If you know your major scale structure, you can count all of that stuff. So lots of ways to get there. This is just my kind of step-by-step process that I have worked out for this one particular resource. So then a letter name chart, easy enough. You can just Google that, right? So where is the note name that we just found? We found B flat. So there it is right there. Okay. And this is just any old letter name, what are all the letters on the fretboard, and then line it up with where it is right here. We found that that's flat 3. Great. So we know that the B flat that we found, the first melody note, is flat 3. Now I know this seems like this is meant for if you've never ever done any of this before, but as you do it more, this is all happening, really quickly and really fast. As you do it a bunch, you don't need any of this stuff. You can just look at a lead sheet and actually do it. So now we have this being B flat, it is flat 3 of this chord. We need to find a voicing with this as the top note, okay? And you can already start to find, I'm giving you all these alternatives as we go, you can already start to find the number closely, but it's not perfect if you just count, straight up count. We know G is the root, 1, 2, 3. So this is some kind of 3. Now we know it's flat 3, but the flat is not what makes it flat 3, because B flat could be a major third. It doesn't have to be a flat third. Those are not related to each other. But that is interesting. So whatever it is, let's say that there is a note E and G is the root. Okay, well then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That E is some kind of 6. We don't know yet if it's flat 6, natural 6, whatever, but it's some kind of 6. So that's really helpful too. If you're not even looking at a staff, you can just say E is the melody, G is the root, G, A, B, C, D, E, 6, some kind of 6. So a lot of different ways to start to process this, and everyone learns differently. Some people are way more visual, some people are way more just numerical. So we got to put out all these different ways to work on it, and believe that for you there is a possible way to make it feel natural if you're really interested in doing this. Okay, so write that number down on your lead sheet. Optional, obviously, but kind of helpful if you're new to this. So okay, that's flat 3. Great, we're writing that down, and then find a voicing with that chord tone as the top note. Now this, of course, is also really hard way to do it. On the guitar, you can start to, over time, drill your inversion shapes of chords, and that's a really good start. If you just learn inversion shapes, look them up, work them out however you want, then you are at least getting voicings of every chord with different chord tones on the top, and that's a good starting point to start to find anything. In my course, since we're going through that process, I have this Chord Melody Magic dictionary that has every chord type and then voicings for any melody note. So here's half diminished right there. So this is, you can choose different types of chords and go there. Let's go to that page with the 4-note chords. I have 3-note chords in here as well. So if the melody's on string 1, if the melody's on string 2, if the melody's on string 3. Okay, we're looking for flat 3 melody. The blue notes are the melody. And here it is right here, flat 3, flat 3, flat 3. Awesome. I'm going to choose the melody note that is on the 2nd string. And if you look at that, if you know jazz chords at all, that is the most common version of a half diminished chord right there. Great. The root position half diminished chord, where the 3rd is flat 3 is on the 2nd string, is our first shape that we want to do. The reason there are 2 notes here is this is just the melody note. If the melody is 4, because the melody is not always a chord tone, if the melody is 4 and the chord is half diminished, you still play these and you play that. If the melody is flat 3, you play this version of it. So here we are moving into actually putting chord shapes onto a PDF arrangement. This is a mistake that should not be there. This is just to play that note by itself with the 4th finger, and then you're set up to play this chord right here. Here's the fingering of it, etc. So now we have that. Our arrangement is getting started. Now let's go on to this next melody note. This melody note is G. We know that from after F is G. That is the root of the chord, so we already know that it's 1. So we're just looking for 1, and on that same half diminished chord chart, we have the root on top, root on top, root on top. Let's go ahead and choose the 2nd string again. I love this physical shape of a half diminished chord. This is an inversion. Like I said, if you drill your inversions and let things take time, nothing is instant, right? The enjoyment of this is because we have to invest ourselves into it. The instantaneous stuff is never valuable feeling. It's never nurturing and deep feeling. So let this stuff be hard, and then it's such a thrill to do it. If you drill your inversion shapes, this would be one of the inversion shapes along the middle four strings of a half diminished chord. This is the third inversion. Flat 7 is on the bottom. That makes it a third inversion. So, but it's just the half diminished chord. It has the 1, has the flat 3, has the flat 5, has the flat 7. That is the spelling, the structure of a half diminished chord. And that's a feel-good shape, fourth finger on the top there. So that's our next shape right here. So there it is. And we have 2 Gs, we have 2 of those melody notes, and little kind of hint into my bonus tip that's coming later for how to make it sound better and easier to play is just this, where you don't have to play a chord shape for every note in an arrangement. And I think we shouldn't, because it makes it sound way better and it just makes it easier to play. We want to know what chord shape would harmonize it, but then take a bunch of chord shapes out, and this just makes it way smoother. You can play this shape, your fourth finger's here, you can glide down 2 frets, play that note by itself with the fourth finger, and then make this shape. Very physically doable. You can pause right now, grab your guitar and try this. Play this shape, scoot down 2 frets with the fourth finger, play this shape, and then play this shape with the fourth finger kind of sitting there. And it's lovely. I'll demonstrate all of this on the guitar. I'm going to walk through the whole arrangement on the guitar with all the chord shapes on the screen, and I'll demonstrate the whole thing just playing it as well, obviously. So let's just do a little more to show kind of snags that come up. So now, interesting, we have a situation. We have the G sustaining, but the chord changes. So now the chord tone was the root, same note sustaining, and now it's the 5 of this chord, okay? Again, you can find that as the 5 with the process before. This is C right here, F-A-C. If you go down and go 1, 7, 6, 5, it's 5. We don't know yet what kind of 5. It does happen to be natural 5 though. So, okay, well, let's go to the dominant 7 flat 9 page in this chord chart. Here's melody on string 1, string 2, string 3. We're probably going to go with this one right here, but here's 5 on the top, 5 on the top, 5 on the top. This is what we're going to go with 5 on the second string. Now, these two here mean they're optional. These mean they are not optional. The 3rd and the 7th, people call them the guide tones. They determine the quality of a chord. You cannot replace them, or you lose. You can, but just know that you lose the quality of the chord. So it can sound a little more modern to make that ambiguity on purpose. But I like to make sure my arrangement is there's kind of a traditional version of it first, and I can get altering things later. But the 3rd, if it's not there, you don't know if it's major or minor. The flat 7, if it's not there, you don't know if it is like a dominant quality or major 7 quality. These two though are totally interchangeable. You can play the root or the flat 9. What do you want to hear? These of course just have to do with purely what the melody is. So 5 is the melody, we got that. I'm going to choose this shape here. And this is just a diminished 7 shape. Again, if you know your chord, some jazz chords, this is the most common way to play a diminished 7 chord. Very cool. It is a rootless version of C 7 flat 9. There's no C in there, but it very much is a C dominant 7th chord, just without the root. It has all the important stuff in there. Well, this is so cool. This is such a piano moment on the guitar. This is why I love arranging and being so intentional about this stuff. This shape right here to this shape right here, this note moves down 1 half step and that's it. And you get this 2-5 quality, this minor 2-5 quality shifting. It sounds really like a piano player just moving that one note instead of us guitarists always kind of jumping to things, right? Now we're voice leading. This truly is voice leading. So we have this here. This is just my way right now to indicate, to sustain that. That's not a universal notation or anything like that, but that square is saying, hold that, it's sustaining. And you're going to play these 4, and then you're going to play just these 3, and you're going to get that comping, kind of left hand comping sound, as in left hand on a piano. So 1, same note, now it's the 5 as that sustains over, and you did hold it, and you did sustain it. So cool stuff, right? So now here is the way that arrangement looks if we keep going, and then I'm just going to go into kind of walking through actually on the guitar, show you the rest of it and perform it. Again, this is a mistake. That chord is not supposed to be that yet. This is just without a chord. You play that. We walked through all of this. up to here. The next note here, this is flat 7 of C7, and this is flat 3 of F minor 6. So, okay, if we find the flat 7 on the first string, this is where I choose to play it, then that is the shape. Also a really common diminished shape, but again, it's being a rootless C7 flat 9. So, okay, that shape right there. And then this is just a root position F minor 6 chord, because flat 3 is on the top. That's flat 3 right there. So just if you go through that process more, then you'll find those, just finding the best place to kind of play it. Let's jump to the guitar view now, and I will show you walking through the whole arrangement with the chord shapes, giving you tips to physically play it along the way, and any alternative tips as I go. Let's go to that. Everybody learns differently, like I said, so maybe you just want to toil over this with the fretboard and with some theory knowledge, and that's very possible as well. If you take the time to memorize some basic theory knowledge, you can also just kind of work this stuff out on the fretboard. For example, if you know how to find any note name on any string, then, well, you're identifying where these roots are and where the chord tones are, and then you need to be able to find the relationship between them. Well, finding any note, if you know all the open string names, and then you know where the half steps are in natural notes, like between E and F and B and C, then you can find any note, because you just go up the alphabet and go half step when it goes E to F, half step when it goes B to C, everything else is a whole step. So you could work your way up and find B flat right there. You can find G right there. From there, because that's that chord tone, that's that root. From there, you need to know the major scale structure and just how to play a major scale anywhere by whole step, half step, whole step, where those whole steps and half steps are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, be able to navigate that way. Then you can go 1, 2, 3, there's that melody note. That's flat 3. Because I went 1, 2, 3, 5. So I measure everything against the major scale. It's the beginning structure of all theory. So, okay, even if you were looking at that C dominant 7 flat 9 chord, and you said, well, here's C, and you just decide to start there, and you say, well, and then I know that that note is G. Here's G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 5th, right? And if it was right here, you could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's flat 5, right? So you can use that major scale to get those first couple steps down. Then from there, of course, is the challenging part. You would have to know the chord spelling and structure of a bunch of chords, like half diminished is root, flat 3, flat 5, and flat 7. So if you find G here and you say that's G, so that's the root. Okay, 1, 2, 3, flat 3. There's the flat 3. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, flat 3. Okay, how about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 5? Okay. We're making the chord shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, flat 7. There is that chord shape that we decided on. And so if you know the structure and the major scale, you count with the major scale and then alter them to spell out all these chords. Easier said than done. This is about drilling and taking the time and really investing in this, but I'm just showing you how you could kind of do it hands-on with the fretboard, depending on how you learn. If you like visual stuff, that other way is great. If you just want to kind of be in the zone of the fretboard and kind of studying and scratching your head and staring down at this, then you can also do it this way. From here, you can also find inversions by just taking every note and saying, what is the next closest chord tone on that string? This is the root, so what's down is flat 7. This is the flat 5, so what's down is flat 3. This is the flat 7, so the closest one down is flat 5. And this is flat 3, and the closest one down on that same, just on the same string, everything moves down a chord tone, and you get the next inversion shape. If you did that again, you would get this shape. So that's how you can also kind of do that from your head and from your hands. And again, it's a long game. All of this is a long game. Just another approach to let you know about, and a combination of all these things is really the best way to go. Now let's just go through this arrangement so I can show you piece by piece any details about playing it and show you kind of how it came together chord shape wise. So we already did this first part. I recommend everybody give this a try. Just these first few measures, just to feel how cool that sounds and feels in your hands. That part right there that I talked about, that piano comping moment. Okay, and then this you heard me do, and you saw me do that just now, where I'm playing this melody note first and then filling out the rest of it after that however I want. That is easier to get to because then you just have to get here with your finger and then put the rest down. And it just sounds better too, because what else are you going to do once you land there? You're just going to let it ring? You could, but there's space here now. So the space and also just how physically easy or hard it is to get to something will determine put the melody down first and then fill out the rest of the chord. And you can do that any time you want. A huge part of your decisions making as an arranger and as an artist here is just when are you going to play a chord shape and when are you not? How are you going to fill out the sound with accompaniment after playing the melody or break the chords up, that kind of thing. So I am writing chords in most places, and then at times where I definitely think you have to play the single note, I'll do this like I did over here. But these, I'm actually not going to play all those chord shapes because I like the sound of it better as, whoops, it's actually, okay, so I played single note, chord, single note, chord. That first single note was prior page, and then I play chord, single note, chord, even though you could play all of those. And that sounds great too. They're all there because they're very possible. And then this I love. So I'm saying ring this out, and then you're just playing those two notes from here. Very cool 2/5 sound comping thing like we did before. And then we have, okay, once again, I'm playing the melody and then filling out the chords of that, playing the third of that C major chord, then filling out the rest. So, okay, that time I held these notes and I played this as a note by itself, holding these, so all those are ringing, but I didn't play that as a chord. And I might do it one way, one moment, one way, another time, switching it up. So if we move on, then this is just that A section again, and there's a couple extra notes because of the lyrics. So I am now emphasizing where to play just single notes when you have to. So this is, okay, so I'm saying definitely play a single note there because it's just too quick not to. And then here I landed on the melody anyway, and then filled out the chord, but you don't have to. You physically could land on that full chord there. Okay, let's move on. And okay, so I actually missed one of the notes here, but I would play this as a single note, this as a chord, this as a single note, but you can play them all as chords. So those are just the choices that make it different every time you play it or how you choose to. And that's that section there. I'm also landing on this melody note here, and then the bass note, and then these two. Okay, so this again. Okay, feel how that works. And then we're going to go up to this, which I'm actually going to play as a melody note there. And then I'm going to go melody note, chord. So then I landed on this chord here. And then just melody note with my fourth finger, because then I want to get to this chord, and this chord is not a bar, it's all these fingers because I want to do this comping thing that moves the 2/5 sound just like before. That is so cool. And according to my notation, I should have put a square here, which I'm just using for this arrangement with the limitation of the software I'm using, but that should just stay ringing. That should not be a re-articulation. So, okay. And then this needs to be a single note, really, to keep it smooth. Okay, that's ringing, and then just moving those two notes. And then for that chord, I'm landing on the melody note and filling it out. Okay, so that sounds like. Okay, single note going into the next section there, and then this is quite a beast of a section. Really cool stuff, though. So I'm going. Love this chord shape, major 7 with a sharp 11. That third string note right there is the sharp 11. Nice crunchy major 7 sound. Okay, so you pretty much have to play that as a single note to keep it smooth. So, okay, and then this is, that's the chord we're going to land on there. So tricky spot, but very doable if you truly drill it and practice it wisely. It would be, I gotta practice a little more, getting that down. So, there it is. It's just a kind of like a tongue twister on the guitar. There it is. So it takes a little bit of drilling on that. And then moving on, there's that chord that we landed on. This is an altered chord. Altered meaning it has a sharp 5, a flat 5, a sharp 9, a flat 9, sharp. The 5s and the 9s are just mangled. They're broken up. Any of those. This is represented as altered by having a sharp 5. This is flat 7. This is 3. This is sharp 5. This is the root. Flat 7, 3, sharp 5, root. So it's an altered chord just with that sharp 5. And then we have this. So it's leading us back into the A section again, but the chord is still G7 altered. So here's the voicing that I chose. Flat 7, 3, sharp 5, sharp 9. That's this chord shape right here. I like that a lot. That's really cool. And then we're going back into the A section here. Okay, then we have, okay. So that is this right here. I'm barring and then reaching my pinky up. That's actually physically quite difficult. This is a C dominant 7 with the flat 9. So I'm choosing to do it that way. But you can play this without the flat 9 and just do this. So that's why the more you know, the better, right? Because that is just physically way easier. I just kind of prefer that sound, but it's almost not worth it for how much harder it makes it, right? And who's going to notice, right? It's just such a quick little moment. So you might as well play it this way, but challenging myself, and I put it in that way for the arrangement. But I want you to be making these kinds of decisions and choices in your own arrangements, of course. And then here's the end of it. Okay, love this chord shape here. This is that G7 altered, and what we have here is rootless version. That's the flat, or that's the major third, the flat 7, the flat 9, and the sharp 5. That's that chord right there, and then that represents the overall tonality as flat 3, flat 3, 1. Very cool sound with the flat 3 leading, kind of a bluesy sound there, leading to a major tonic resolution. And this chord is like a 6-9 chord. This is 6, this is 9 of this chord, this is 5, this is root. An amazing ending chord, very much an ending chord. And then in my little arrangement, you'll hear, thought that was fun, 5, 1 at the end of playing that. So just wanted to walk you through there, explain the chord shapes, some of it, hopefully inspire you. This is very possible. The point here is, one, it's so much simpler in concept than you think. You just need to find those chord tones and the root and the distance, figure out what the chord tone is, and then find the shape with that on the top, and then start to make these creative decisions. And of course, have the difficult process, but difficult in a rewarding way, that is the drilling of it. And that is the choices of where am I going to play a chord shape and where am I not going to. The beautiful thing about this is you can do it however you want. You are the artist. And it actually sounds fantastic if you play a bunch of melody notes and just choose every so often spots to add chord shapes. It's going to sound like it really fills it out. I mean, it will work even if you're just playing by yourself to occasionally add a chord shape in. So you don't need to have everything be a chord shape, but the power of the knowledge of knowing what chord shape would harmonize any note is kind of a good theoretical starting point as a practice. And then you make those choices like I did here. And so this is a fast tempo arrangement. I'm kind of arranging it for a fast tempo, but any tempo, any song, any piece, you can make those choices for yourself. I'm going to play all of these just as the melody, and then I'm going to land on a chord shape here. Or you can practice, making it much harder by playing more chord shapes and making all of these little decisions. But the journey is the reward. The journey is the destination, and it's just so satisfying and nourishing to work on this stuff. If we're into this sound, if this is one of our goals, if it's not, well, you watched this far in this video, but this is not something that everyone needs to know how to do. It's not something that you could never have this skill and be an amazing guitar player, right? So this is for those of us that we want to explore this. I find it really one of the best things I've ever worked on because I can get even with these chord shapes that don't have roots in the bass, it's not really a solo guitar arrangement all the time. It can be, but I just love getting to hear the harmony and melody at the same time and take my time and kind of struggle over it and practice it diligently to get an arrangement like this done. So anyway, just wanted to encourage you a little bit at the end here. Let me just play you this full arrangement with the chord shapes on the screen so you can hear how it all came together. Anytime there is something downloadable and valuable, a resource that goes along with my lesson, I post it inside my membership called my Weekly Lesson Resources membership for anyone who's in there, so you can get backing tracks or PDFs and arrangements or anything related to my lessons that's downloadable. If you want to get this arrangement and resources for a bunch of my other lessons, past and future, you can join by going to soundguitarlessons.com/join and become a premium supporter of the channel. It's kind of like my Patreon, but it's on my site. I actually do have a Patreon version as well with the same resources. So check that out if you're interested. If you're not, that's totally fine. That's why I put the stuff on the screen also, so you can use the video to get everything you need from an arrangement like this. Or if you just want some free arrangements to explore, you can get my free solo guitar arrangement pack. That is solo guitar arrangements. So look, it sounds good just you playing by yourself. There are tons of chord melody arrangements in that pack, and those are totally for free. There's a link for that in the description to download it if you are interested. And if you could, let me know in the comments, did you like this chord shape arrangement style where I'm putting the lead sheet and then the chord shape above it versus tabs? Should I do one or the other in the future, or maybe I should do all of them: notation, tabs, fingerings, chord shapes? You know, what works for you better? Do you like the chord shapes or pure tabs? Sometimes I do one or the other. So if you give me feedback on that, I would love that. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comments. I post a YouTube lesson video every single week. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy practicing.